Jagityala. I request all the participants and the resource person for this 1 week online national faculty development program on outcome-based education. Actually, due to some technical issues, it was delayed by 5 minutes. Still, we know 5 more minutes for the online YouTube live streaming. So it is going on. So I request the participants to please be patient. Almost by 10:45, we will the session will be started. Sir is also joined in this. Anyhow, sir, can we join, sir, so that we can include it in the recording mode?
Yeah. Okay. Continue, please.
Yes, sir.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. We will include in the recording mode, sir. Only the session is recording now. The streaming people will get after 5 minutes. Anyhow.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Over to you, sir. Over to you, sir. And before, sir, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. Today, after your session, after this session, there will be a valedictory session is there. Our sir will be the chief guest. Our resource person will be the chief guest. Dr. S. Vishwanath Raj sir will be the chief guest, and our director sir will be also addressing the gathering, and our both the conveners will also address the gathering, sir. Dr. Umar Shankar Reddy, director of KHIT, will be joining in this session after the completion of this session, sir. Almost all it will be around 12:15, sir.
Around 12 to 12:15.
Oh, that's what I told the same time, sir. Sir will be our honorable director sir also will be joining, and for all the participants, around we will give the time to you for the submitting the assessment test. It will be scheduled around 2 o'clock, but we will put you the exact time, and by when it is closes, we will also let you know. And I request all the participants to submit the attendance as well as the Dr. Vishwanath Raju sir's feedback also. So you have to submit all those things by 1 p.m. at today's attendance and feedback feedback link. But the exam will be scheduled after 2 p.m. We will specify you when the exam will start. And one more thing, whatever the details you are going to entering in the exam link, with those details only you are going to get the certificate. I repeat once again, whatever the details you are entering through the assessment test link, initially it will ask the details. Whatever the details you will write, you will mention. With those details only you are going to receive the certificate. And those who will be getting more than 50% marks, for them only we are going to give the certificates. So this is the main preliminary condition. So I request all the participants, whenever you are entering the details, please enter the exact correct details in the assessment test link, which is going to be happening at the 2 o'clock. Okay. Now over to you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. I request the Dr. Vishwanath Raju sir, Vice Principal, JNTU Jagityal, to
sir, small request, please share the PPTs also, day wise.
Sir, this first day, second day, we have shared, sir. Regarding third, fourth, fifth days, share will be shared, sir. It is with Vishwanath Raj sir only. Whenever sir will give to me,
you can share, it may be useful for us.
For that, sir will answer you, sir.
Yeah, already recorded videos are there, nothing to do. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Very good morning, my dear friends and experts. So please, my PPT is visible. Please, my PPT is visible.
Now, okay,
yes.
Sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Please read the first line. Hello?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. NBA committees.
Yeah, thank you very much for testing. Very good. Some noise is coming, please. Basha, sir, you take care of that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The session, maybe I used to get a noise. That is what please you need to take care.
Yeah, we will close such people, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, very good morning, my dear friends and experts. In today, I will be talk about how to formulate the committees and also how to design assessment tools for the evaluation of student performance. So these are the two topics I'll be going to share with you. So which I'm going to share with you, this is only sample. This is not the 100% authenticated information. Every institution have their own strategies, have their own vision and mission. With respect to that, they can frame the committees. And even committee names also may not be standard. Every institution might be having with their own nomenclature also. Just I'm going to share just methodology process only. Okay, methodology, how to frame the committees. This is what. So in general, in the institution level, there are two different levels of committees are there. One is institutional level committee and the other one is a department level committees. So what are the committees we need to consider institution level and what are the committees we need to consider department level? Let us look into this. I am taking here only two sample committees only. We can add on. This is not the fixed number, please. Governing body or academic advisory board. So one committee. The second committee is internal quality assessment committee. So this is very much important. And the first one also very much important. So then these are the two committees. These two committees are institutional level committees, not departmental level committees. When the committee is institutional level, then how to define the members' rules? That is what I'll be going to share with you. The next is department level committees. The department level committees is department advisory committee, or you may be having a different nomenclature. So this is department level committee. Next one is program assessment committee. The next one is course experts group. I think you know in the department you may be running or you have one or more programs. When you have one or more programs, you need to formulate a committee with respect to the program. Suppose in my department, 3 programs are there. In my program, 3 programs are there. Suppose BTech Computer Science and Engineering. The next one is BTech Computer Science and Engineering Artificial Intelligence. So in my department, 2 different programs are there. When I have 2 different programs, I have to constitute the 2 different committees with respect to the program. Suppose in my department, only 1 program is there, then I can constitute only 1 committee. And a course experts group. So this is what we discussed in the 3rd day when we were discussing about the Bloom's taxonomy. The course experts group is there. So I think you know the curriculum consisting of n number of courses. When the curriculum is n number of courses, then n number of courses have to be divided into as maximum as possible number of groups based on the similarity. Maybe let us take in a computer science and engineering, database, data structures, algorithms, like one group. The second group is C programming, Python, Java, etc. Such a courses I can make it as another group. Maybe a 3rd group, network, security, etc. Like what you need to do with the, based on the expertise of the respective faculty, the total faculty may be n number of faculty are there. Based on that number, with respect to our curriculum, we need to divide into as maximum as a number of possible groups. There will be possibility of the overlapping of the member also. I may be expert in a networking and also I am an expert in the Java programming, so that you can use my services in a 2 different groups also. So that is what course experts group means. this is what? These three are department level committees. You can add some more committees also. That is your wish. Just I'm giving minimum requirement only. This is what minimum requirement for any accreditation or for smooth running of the institution. That is what. Let us say a governing body or academic advisory board. The functions you see that the continuous assessment of all the programs by reviewing various inputs received from IQAC and approval of budgets under their purview. You see that the committee functions are what? They have to be received information from the different departments and regarding the different department information from the IQAC. And also the committee is responsible for budget approval. The next one is vision and mission statements of departments as well as the institution. The financial matters exceeding, maybe the institution have their own limit. That is what X, I'm assuming, X INR would be referred to the higher authority. Members, who are the members, you see that chaired by the head of the institution, okay, along with the predecessor, HODs, deans, with the senior faculty of the institution, experts from the industry, alumni, and any other members as necessary as per the regulations of the institution or government policy. So that is what you need to decide it. So you have to be first to define the functions. I'm giving here only little information. You need to elaborate very clearly. And members, who are the members of the respective committee, means governing body or academic advisory board. The aspects to be reviewed or considered, based on the inputs received. So this is what the sequence we must follow. I have to get the information from the IQAC. Means IQAC might be receiving the data from different sources. That is what I'll share. Of all the departments, the GB or AAC means Academic Audit Cell, Academic Audit Committee or Academic Advisory Committee. So makes decisions on financial or non-financial matters of their purview, okay, and refers to the next level with reference to the matters related to. You see that reference to the related matter. Infrastructure and lab facilities, budget proposals, research proposals, faculty requirements, faculty development program, strengths, weaknesses of the institution, suggestions. Like you see that many issues are there. Okay, they have to be focused on these issues. Once the review is over, then that resolution copy sent to whom? All concerned in the form of circulars or communication. Note with the copy to higher authorities for information if required. So that is what information we want to circulate in the form of circulars or a communication. And again, you see that the frequency of a meeting is what? Once in a semester and as per the need. Why do I want to conduct once in a semester? Maybe infrastructure may be required for at every semester due to the curriculum changes. So there is a possibility. So that if it is running semester wise, then you go for the once in a semester. If it is a yearly system, then you go for the once in a year with respect to the regulations only. And as per the need, when they need, then they want to conduct. So these are the steps for the governing body or academic advisory board. First one is function, then members, next what are the aspects reviewed or considered, next minutes sent to, and frequency of meeting or meeting frequency. This is what. The next is see that the similar fashion only for the IQAC also, the same steps, you need to go for that. Now at Department Advisory Committee, what are the functions? You see that this functioning is very much important. Why do I define the function? For avoiding conflicts of issues among the different committees only. If the function is not defined properly, then there could be possibility of the conflicts. So such a conflict, how can I avoid? By defining it systematically only. So that is what. For that purpose, we want to define who is who, responsible for so and so thing. This is core committee of the department, constituted to help the decision-making process of the matters pertaining to department with respect to academics, infrastructure, facilities, student support, short and long range goals, including vision, mission, POs, and any other requirements. Any other requirements. I'm not specifying very clearly. It's okay, everything. Based on the inputs received from Program Assessment Committee. I have told you already. Governing body, IQAC, now DAC. So DAC is going to receive the information from where? From the PAC, Program Assessment Committee. Because of in the department, there may be n number of programs there, so that they want to receive the data from all the program assessment committees. Okay, and has the additional job of revision, refining of the statements. So COs, PSOs, PEOs, vision, mission, if necessary. So who is the responsible for the defining or making the consolidation? Department Advisory Committee regarding COs, PSOs, PEOs, vision and mission if necessary. Evaluation of curricular gaps also. Curricular gaps and faculty development programs also. We has to be decided the Department Advisory Committee how many programs we need to conduct for the next academic year and what are the gaps are there in the curriculum. That is what we has to decide the Department Advisory Committee only, not as a single person. Okay. Next one is members. Who are the members? By default, generally head as a chair of the committee, head of the department with the senior faculty from major specializations and program coordinators and any other members as necessary. So why should I consider program coordinators? Means the PAC information who is having the program coordinator, so that we need to include like that. You have to be included members. Next one is aspects to be reviewed or considered. Committee decisions on the issues pertaining to curricular gaps. What is the responsibility of the Department Advisory Committee? Prerequisite gaps, course gaps, program gaps, and action plans. So I think you know that prerequisite chart. Who is the responsible for the construction of the prerequisite chart for the curriculum? Means Department Advisory Committee only. CO/PO attainments, their deficiencies and corrective measures, approval of PSO statements, review of student feedback. So even CO/PO attainments also, who is responsible? The Department Advisory Committee. PO is mainly I'm using this value for the improvement batch to batch, and CO value I'm using the value for the improvement semester to semester within the batch. Okay. Committee recommendations to IQAC on the issues pertaining to the student achievements, strengths and weaknesses of the program, modifications in TUOs, vision, mission, review of survey reports of internal and external stakeholders, corrective measures, infrastructure, budget, proposals, research proposals, faculty requirements, faculty development programs. So like any more, you can add it. I'm giving only a sample. And minutes sent to next. Once they prepare the document, final document has to be sent to the IQAC of the institution. I want to represent from the department to the IQAC. The IQAC will be communicate with the GB or advisory board. Okay. Then meeting frequency twice in academic year. Why means? So I need to verify all the resources in my department. Sufficient resources are there or not for my students. If not there, then every semester you need to represent from the department to the IQAC. So twice in a year, and whenever needed, you can conduct. Let us see that first one is GB, hierarchy. So you see that the highest body is governing body. The next level of the body is IQAC. So next you see that here under IQAC, you may be having n number of departments in our college. Departments means, you know, computer science and engineering, electronics and communication engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, metallurgy, etc. So that when I have n number of departments, then what we need to do is see that DAC1. This DAC is responsible for the EEE. Like you see that how many are there? So n, maybe you may be having n number of departments. So every department must have their own committee, that is called Department Advisory Committee, like Mechanical Committee, ECE, CSE, IT, okay, etc. Next, in every department, there could be possibility of the M number of programs. M number of programs means BTech CSC, BTech Artificial Intelligence, and MTech CSC, MTech Artificial Intelligence. That means total how many programs? 4 programs. With respect to the number of programs, you need to constitute the committees. And again, in every program consisting of n number of courses. Every program is consisting of n number of programs. That every program consisting of n number of courses. Every program consisting of n number of courses. When it is having n number of courses, those courses I want to divide into as maximum as possible subgroups based on the similarity. Once if I divide it into those courses into maybe 7 groups, for example. So now how many committees I want to constitute? 7 course experts group only. 7 course experts group. And what is the role of this course expert group means? They want to look into the course outcomes and they want to check the course attainment value, course outcome attainment value, course attainment value, and also they want to try to identify the course gaps also. Okay, within the course, that gaps. Like you see that you need to form this. Like you see that in every department, maybe you may be having n number of programs or m number of programs. So CEG1 and so on, CEGX means course experts group 1, course experts group 2, and so on, X number of groups. Like you need to formulate the committees. So these committees are minimum. Please, you can add on n number of committees are there. Just for understanding purpose, I am sharing some sample committees only. Okay. Next, you see that this is what I think I am showing here is expansion of each short form. Okay. This is GB means that nomenclature. Maybe in every institution they have their own nomenclature also. That you need not worry. But where I can find that in the functions, the nomenclature it may be vary, but with the functions information, I can easily to find equivalency of the committee institute to institute. The governing body IQSC, you know that, you see that DAC1 and so on. Again, the program committees, the same thing I am explaining here. You see that. So like this, you need to formulate the committees and you need to define the functions and who are the members and to whom I want to send the minutes and frequency of the meeting. Okay, in a year or maybe in a semester. That is what you decide. Like this, you need to formulate the committees. So, any doubts in this regard, please? Any doubts regarding the committees? I'll be moved to the assessment tool next, please. Any queries, please, regarding the committees?
Sir, clear, sir.
Yeah, please. Clear? Shall I move?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Please, slide is visible.
Yes, sir. Assessment tools.
Yeah, thank you very much. In this session, we will discuss assessment tools. Assessment tools are very much important in the educational system, not only in education, even in every aspect. Okay. What I'll be going to talk in this session, why assessment, what are the assessment tools, and what is the rubric, and what are the different types of rubrics, and what are the different formats, and I'll be going to share with you examples why use rubrics. So these are the topics we'll be going to discuss in this session. What is assessment? Assessment is the process of gathering and discussing information from multiple and diverse sources in order to develop a deep understanding of what students know, understand, and assessment results are used to improve subsequent learning. Let us come to this point. An assessment is a gathering information. Once if I gather the information, then what I need to do, I have to be discuss or I have to be conduct a brainstorming sessions, or I have to be discussed in the meeting or in the committee, which I received the information from the different sources. Information, I have to be, you see that in order to develop, I have to be used for student improvement only. That information, how to use for the student improvement. How? Develop deep understanding of what students know. By the help of this assessment tool, I can easily to assess and evaluate student ability. Once if I know the student ability, then what I have to be need to consider for the improvement of the present student ability. So for that purpose, I can use this assessment information. What students know, understand, and assessment results. So not to collect only the data. To collect the data means to gather the data and to consolidate the data, to analyze the data, to evaluate the data, and you come out with the results. That result, how to use for the improved subsequent learning. So for that purpose, we want to introduce the assessment. This is what we discussed in yesterday class. There are n number of assessment tools are there. Mid-examination, end-examination, laboratory, project work, seminar, etc. Okay, we have a constructive assessment mechanism for the mid-examination and end-examination. But what kind of assessment method or tool we are using for the evaluation of student seminar, a project, a case study, a project demonstration, assignment, laboratory examination, mini project, industry-oriented project, what type of tool you are going to use? That is very much important. How I am evaluating not important. The process is very much important. So that is what I have told you very clearly in the first day itself. OBE is a process. OBE is a process. What mechanism do you have? How you are implementing effectively that mechanism? With that mechanism, whatever the result you are getting, how you are utilizing that result for the improvement of the student performance. So that is what going to evaluate by the NBA evaluators or NAC assessors. Examples of assessment tools, research paper rubric, I'll going to share, checklist, evaluation of instruction, evaluation of lab reports, grading guide, poster presentation rubric. Several examples are there. Here I mentioned only a few examples. Okay. So I think now you understood what is assessment. Okay. Once again, assessment is a gathering information. That gathered information I have to analyze, evaluate, and conclude with the result. That result I have to use for the improvement of the present batch or next batch of students. Why assessment? Continuous improvement. If the assessment is not there, then how can I improve? Even you say that I used to follow my feedback wherever I give the presentation, immediately I used to ask them to send the feedback. So for what purpose? That feedback, whatever the mistakes are there, that I have to be think, I have to be analyze, I have to be evaluate. Next time I should not repeat. For that purpose, assessment. That feedback is also one kind of assessment only. Feedback is also one kind of assessment of the faculty. And also the assessment tools are very helping for whoever is here going for the accreditation or external evaluation. If the third party is going to evaluate our institution, in that case, I need to provide certain evidential information. Where that evidential information? The assessment mode. Next, competition. You see in the present scenario, huge competition is there among the institution, among the faculty also, among the institution, among the faculty, so that we must take the assessment card, feedback or any other thing. Industry push. If I want to push the student to the industry, I have to follow certain mechanism, systematic procedure. And rank student performance, if I want to give the rank to the particular student, I must be required assessment process. Next, generate effective feedback to learner. So with the help of the assessment, I can generate effective feedback. That feedback, we can use it for the enhancement of the skill set of a respective student, respective faculty, or respective department. Seek to measure progress. You can find the measures. Okay. A rubric is the heart of assessment. So rubric is very much important. This is the heart of assessment. But we are giving much priority for the internal examination and external examination. But when we are evaluating a project report, how many of us following the rubric system? So the rubric is very much important for the evaluation of the student performance. For which task means, you see that seminar, project demonstration, and project presentation, case study, assignment, laboratory, etc. In that case, which is very much important, the rubric. What is the rubric? A rubric is a scoring tool. It represents the scoring, okay, tool that lists the criteria or what counts for a piece of work. So you see that I'll explain the criteria also, what do you mean by criteria. Suppose if I want to give a rank for the 7 students, how do I give a rank for the 7 students? First, I must design a rubric. In that rubric, I must define the criteria. What criteria? Criteria 1 may be percentage, criteria 2 may be internship programs, criteria 3 may be prizes, criteria 4 may be hacker rank, coding ranking, criteria next, like you see that you need to define the criteria wise. Then once I have the information criteria wise, then I can easily to analyze 10 students and I can give the ranking to each and every student. So such a system we want to introduce in the institution. A rubric is an evaluation tool that describes quality of work on government from excellent to poor. It gives very clear-cut information from the excellent to poor. So that is what. Rubrics divide an assignment into its component parts and to provide a detailed description of what constitutes acceptable or unacceptable levels of performance for each of those parts. You see, we had a little experience with the evaluation of the project report. See how we are evaluating when the student is presenting. At the end, we may be taking the decision whether it is satisfactory or not satisfactory. Even if it is satisfactory, in the satisfactory again, if there are any gradings, you may be giving by assumption. So that's not the right process. I want to show the judgment information. Tomorrow, if the student come and ask, how you evaluated my project report, is there any evidence? No. No. You see that why I have to maintain this rubric means, yes, I followed these are the criteria. Based on these criteria, you scored this much. Such evidences we want to provide to the student. Suppose the student go to the court. When the student go to the court, then what kind of document I want to present to the court, you know? If I say simply, sir, I have listened and then I have given the marks at the end for out of 250, 240 marks. That the court never accepts such a kind of information. What the court wants, certain process, what process you applied, where that process reflecting in the rubric only. So that you see that in America, the student always go to the court for if he is going to get, if he get very less marks in a program, or maybe in a project, or maybe in a seminar. So they want to see their rubric process, okay? So that please, all of you be careful in the coming years. As per NEP 2020, the student has a right to ask in every aspect, okay, how you are evaluating. Steps to design rubric. What are the steps I need to consider for designing of a rubric? First step is identify a learning goal. You identify what is your goal, what is your aim, okay? So that is what. The aim is what? For example, seminar or oral presentation or project presentation or project demonstration or maybe etc. So that is what you need to first identify the learning goal. Next, choose outcomes that may be measured with the rubric. They have to be identify the outcomes. What are the outcomes you need to test in the with respect to the goal? With respect to the goal, then develop or adapt an existing rubric. You can develop if not available, or you can adapt. Okay, so whatever it is, you see that. Once, if I designed a rubric, that rubric I should not keep in my pocket. I should not keep in my rack, please. What should I do it? Once I design the rubric, that rubric I must circulate to each and every student. How I am going to evaluate that information should pass on to the every student. That is very much important as per the NEP 2020 and outcome-based education also. So that what we need to do, share it with students. Then once the student go through that rubric, once they will come back to the presentation, they can have in their mind what need to be present, what not to be present. So that how they can find what need to be present, what not to be present by going through the rubric pro forma only. So that once I design a rubric, that is what I want to share with the students. Then assess or a grade. Once if I assess or grade, analyze and report results. Based on the rubric, you may be going to get a result. That result, that is what you need to analyze and find the observations. Based on the observations, then you need to develop an action plan for further improvement. What are the parts of rubric? Let us see. Rubrics are composed of 4 basic parts in general. 4 basic parts in general. The first component is task description. Let us take an example, assignment or seminar presentation or project. So that is what a task description. You see that the task description is, you see that task description, I want to describe what is my task here. Okay, the format also I'm going to show you. The next is the dimensions of the assignment, breakdown of skills or a knowledge involved in the assignment. So whether this task is a combination of skill, knowledge, attitude or not, you have to decide that. So some of the tasks may be only knowledge tasks, some tasks may be only skill and knowledge, or some of the tasks may be combination of 3 also, knowledge, skill and attitude. With respect to that, I have to decide the features of the task. Features of the task. I can say dimensions of an assignment or features of the assignment or attributes of assignment. Various nomenclatures are there. Let us see now. I want to decide or define dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3. That means feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 and so on. Like I will explain with the example. Now I am giving only sample structure only. The next point is, first is task description. Next, I want to divide. That means breakdown of the skill or knowledge involved in the assignment. Okay. Next component, a scale of some sort. You see that for each dimension, whether you are going to give the rating 3, 2, 1, 0, or whether you are going to give the rating excellent, average, poor, not satisfactory. So that is what you want to decide at level of achievement, possibly in the form of grades. Either you can go for the numeric or a categorical. Either numeric or a categorical. 1, 2, 3 numerical. Categorical means excellent, very good, a good, poor, average, etc. That is what I want to specify very clearly here. You see that scale level 1, scale level 2, scale level 3. I will explain what are the possible scales are there. Okay. Next, the description of what constitutes each level of performance. I have to be defining, I have to give the clear-cut information here. Why I am giving for the scale, level 1 for this respect to dimension. Okay. Respect to dimension. Similarly for the level 2 also. Similarly for the level 3 also. Like you see that description of dimensions. So I should give the information here. This format, this structure we want to circulate or share to every student. They must know how you are going to evaluate. If they doesn't know how you are going to evaluate, how do you expect up to the mark? So that's not the right process. When we are evaluating, we must circulate, we must share the procedure of the evaluation to the every student. Then they can think. The parts of the rubric which we have seen in the previous slide, I'll give little bit more information. A task description. What is the student supposed to do? That is what? Examples. Write an essay, perform a concert, make an oral presentation, project presentation, or case study submission, or assignment, etc. Examples. Okay? Task description. Next, scale. The scale can be exemplary, a categorical format, a categorical scaling, exemplary, proficient, marginal, unacceptable. Okay, you can choose any one of the combination. Okay, next, accomplished, average, developing, beginning. You can use this is also this sequence, either this sequence or this sequence. Next, outstanding, very good, good, poor, unsatisfactory. All these are the categorical representations. Okay. The next is you can go for the alphabet represent A, B, C, D, F grading system, or you can go for the numerical system also. That is your wish, or you can go for the binary system. The remaining all multi-classification. The last one is binary classification, either fail or pass. That means satisfactory or unsatisfactory, either fail or pass. So that is what binary classification. Okay. Now dimensions. Break down a task into components and identify the importance of these components. Dimensions are descriptive, not evaluative. The dimensions are descriptive. Okay, you need to do. I will share one beautiful example. The descriptions of the dimensions. Rubric should contain at least a description of the level of performance. Least a description of the level of performance. For each respective level, I have to give the description. Otherwise, how do I decide? As a student, if I know, then I can prepare very well. If I do not know how you are going to evaluate, then how do I predict your mindset? So that what we need to do, we want to share the rubric with every student. Without sharing the rubric, if you expect up to the mark, that's right. That's not the right mechanism. There are 4 different formats are there in the rubric category. One is the rating scales. Second one is a checklist, rating scales. Third one is a holistic rating scales. Fourth one is the descriptive rubrics. I'll explain each one very clearly with examples. Let us see checklist for website. Checklist for website, suppose. Or maybe checklist for submission of my profile to the assistant professor job, or maybe associate professor or a professor. In that case, what we used to do, we used to maintain the checklist, 10th class mark list, yes or no. Intermediate mark list, yes or no. Degree mark list, yes or no. MTech mark list, yes or no. This kind of attachment process. In that case, what kind of rubric I want to use it? Checklist rubric I want to use it. Similarly, if I want to evaluate the institutional website, even for the institutional website, you see that I'll share you a simple list indicating the presence of things you are looking for. Here is some common sense is required. You cannot find any standard structure. With respect to your structure, your aim, you want to define the list. Okay. With respect to my profile, I maybe get 20 items. With respect to your profile, you maybe get 40 checklist also. So that with respect to the availability of the data, with respect to the target, we need to define that. Okay. Let us see here is a checklist rubric for evaluating website. Okay. This is the source available. This you can get from the internet also. Okay. Titles are meaningful. The first dimension is titles are meaningful. Next one is each page loads quickly. If I open the page, am I able to see the content immediately without any waiting time? Each page loads quickly. The text is easy to read. You can add some more. The look and feel, or you can add how the content organized. Like you can add on some more features also. But here I mentioned only 3 features. The first feature is titles are meaningful. Each page loads quickly. The text is easy to read. If I can give it this rubric to the student, then student is easy to evaluate our website. Oh, sir, titles are meaningful if you put that cross mark. If not able to see the content immediately, it may be taking longer amount of time for opening a particular page. In that case, he has not been given the cross mark. Then you see that the text is easy to read. If the student is easy to understand, then you will give the cross mark. So like this, you need to develop a checklist for every activity. This is for only website activity. You can develop like this for your institutional infrastructure or any other information also. So this is one sample checklist regarding. Let us take our own example. If I am submitting application for the professor post, in that case, what I need to maintain checklist? Profile checklist. Second one is 10th class mark sheet, intermediate mark sheet. Like you see that they may be give you certain checklist, and then what you need to do, if you have that, you may be going to put a tick mark or yes or no option. Okay, so that is what. The next is rating scale for an oral presentation. Rating scale for oral presentation. Previous one is checklist. Now I'll be concentrating on rating scale. What is meant by rating scales? A checklist with a rating scale added to show the degree to which the things you are looking for are present. Here you see that you are going to define the degree of a respective feature. In the previous one, you see that things you are looking for by common sense only. You see that just I am putting it with the common sense. If I understood, I can put the tick mark. Not giving any rating for this. Now I'm not giving any rating, whether it is yes or no option. Yes or no option checklist. But here is not yes or no option. You see that how rating is. Let us see that, for example, oral presentation. This is oral presentation. In that case, what I want to do, my task description is oral presentation. For that, what I need to define first, the dimensions or maybe features of the respective activity. The dimension means what you see that clearly stated the purpose of the presentation. Clearly stated the purpose of the presentation. Was well organized. Answered questions authoritatively. Appeared confident. So these are the features I am taking. The entire work I divided into smaller tasks only. So smaller tasks. So then each individual task I'll be again giving the rating. What is the rating? You see that you can go for the strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. So my suggestion is, please, you should remove these two. You should remove these two, please. We must encourage the student. When he is doing minimum things, we must give the at least 1 mark. Okay. So then he could be very happy. Next time we can try for a betterment. Okay. Next time we can try for the betterment. Okay. So that is what. Next was well organized or answered questions authoritatively. You see that strongly agree or agree, disagree or strongly disagree. Okay. Like this, we want to formulate the rubric format. Okay. Next one, difference between holistic rubric and analytic rubric. And an analytic rubric. What is meant by holistic rubrics? Single criterion rubrics. Single criterion rubrics means one-dimensional. Used to assess participants' overall achievement on an activity. So there are two different kinds of rubrics are there. One is a one-dimensional rubric and the second one is multi-dimensional rubric also. I will share you which is a one-dimensional, which is a multi-dimensional. When shall I use one-dimensional? When shall I use multi-dimensional? Okay. Analytic rubrics, you see that. Holistic rubric is nothing but rubrics. It is a one-dimensional. Analytic rubrics, two-dimensional rubrics. Levels of achievement as a columns and assessment criteria as rows. You see that when it is looks like a two-dimensional structure, then that comes under the category of analytic rubric. When it looks like a single dimension, then that comes under the category of holistic rubrics. Okay, these two only. But what is the additional advantage with analytic rubric? You see that levels of achievement as a columns and assessment criteria as rows. But here you see that No, two-dimensional. I'll share you one example. Holistic rubric. Example for the holistic rubric. So holistic rubric is single dimensional. Okay. So let us see here is score. So what about the score? You see that suppose if I want to give the score 4 or percentage, 80 to 100% range. You see that. The research paper, you see that the criteria I have defined very clearly. So you must give this information to the student. When you give this information, the student can prepare very well. So what you see that here I am highlighting, but I am not going to read everything, please. Here is, I am not going to read entire content. Okay. Writing is also error-free, without ambiguity, and read smoothly, creatively, and with a purpose. You see that. See that error-free, without ambiguity. But you go through the content, please, completely. I am not going to read this one. Okay. So that I am giving the score is 4 or between 80 to 100%. That is what you decide. So why I am giving 80 to 100% means, if I give the 90%, then the student can go through this. Once a student go through, then he can think, oh, because of this, I got this marks. So even if we compare with other student, he can easily to analyze it himself. The student should be able to analyze why I am getting these many marks only. So such a evidential information we want to provide to the student. The next level is see that 70 to 79%. You see that the research paper demonstrates considerable understanding, everything is there. What the difference is there, you see that between these two. Here is writing is also error-free. Here is writing also has some errors and ambiguities. Some errors and ambiguities. If I give a 75, next time the student can think, if I want to reach this level, oh, this I have to be removed. This I have to be removed. This I have to be overcome. So like we want to provide the information to the students. Next. 60 to 69%. You see that score 2. Writing also has many errors and ambiguities. You see what is the difference here? Here is many errors are there. So I am giving 65 or maybe 60 or 2. So then the student can think, oh, why X student got 75? Why I got only 65? Then he will go through the rubric format. Once if he go through the rubric format, he can himself take a decision. Oh, I am missing here, so that I want to improve. If I want this rating or this rating, what should I do? That should be circulated to the student. Next rating is see that 50 to 59%. So like to see that writing also has numerous errors and ambiguities also. So this is what you see that numerous. Yes. If you can go through the entire content, you can find micro level difference also. You see that here research paper demonstrates limited understanding and execution of the assigned objectives. This statement or argument is simplistic. Here is faintly stated. Here is simplistic. Here unoriginal. You see that here is or expected and not confident. And the writing is inconsistent in terms of balance in developing body points. You see that here is not present at all, and the writing is unbalanced in developing body points, weak and incomplete. Here you see that exhibits weaknesses and lapses in correctness. So that you see that when you go through the complete description, you can find the differentiation one score to other score. So this kind of structure we want to provide to the student. Okay, how many of us following this kind of pattern? That is what we need to assess ourselves, and at least from next academic year we should follow this one. It could be good to us as well as student also. Next, analytic rubric research paper. You see that analytic rubrics research paper. First, I decided the task. What is the task? Research paper evaluation. What kind of rubric I am applying? Analytic rubric. So first I want to define the features or dimensions or subtasks. Okay. The first feature is what? Knowledge of forms, conventions, terminology, and strategies relative to the importance of sources to subject. Okay, this is one criteria. Or you can split into two also, but as per my observation, I have considered this as one criteria. The second criteria is what? Whether it is there creative thinking or critical thinking. Critical and creative thinking. With respect to the task description, I want to take it. And next one is communication of information and idea. How is able to communicate? The quality of argument and writing. Quality of argument means with the proper evidences, with the proper justification, not simply to say, I got 90% accuracy. So that's not the right answer. If I'm claiming 90%, for that I want to provide the justification with evidential information and writing. Next one is spelling and grammar. So like you see that first you define criteria wise. Okay, criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3, criteria 4, criteria 5. Now what I want to do, I want to go for the, what you see that earlier it was the single dimension. Analytic is the 2 dimension. Now I want to define the scaling. Scaling means whether you want to go for the numerical scaling or categorical scaling. That is what we discussed in the previous slide. Okay, suppose if I want to go for the categorical scaling, excellent and very good, good, average. Or if you want to go for the numerical, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is your wish. Okay, so that we cannot find a standard format. Okay, so that institute to institute, it could be varied. Let us see here is hand taking, adequate, competent, good, excellent. So that 50 to 59% is adequate, competent is 60 to 69% is good, 70 to 79% is excellent, 80 to 100%. So now I defined
சும்மா வைங்க பாப்போம் கடைசி
features and scaling. So now what I need to do, the fourth component is there. What is the fourth component? Description of each dimension.
நான் கூட வர்க்கிங் கண்டிஷன்ல இருக்கறதா டீச்சிங்ல போணும் பெருமையா பீத்திக்கிட்டேன்.
Coordinator please.
இங்க பாதிக்கு மேல ஒரு ஜாமானே இல்ல அப்புறம் இது என்னத்துக்கு?
Coordinator.
Yes sir, we are doing sir.
மெதுவா.
Okay. Okay. Adequate, competent.
இல்ல அது ஃபைல் இருக்குதுண்ணே ஸ்டாக் இந்த எடுத்து பார்த்துட்டு இதெல்லாம் எதுக்கு நாங்களோட பெருமை நிறைய இருக்கு வச்சிருக்கு.
Sir, your voice is not audible. Sir, excuse me, sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Your voice is not coming, sir.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now it's okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Coordinator, please you take care of that. You are doing the meet of, you are putting the meet option to me also. Okay.
Coordinator left, sir.
Okay. Demonstrates limited knowledge of forms. You see that conventions, terminology, and strategies related to the importance of sources to subject. Like this, you want to describe each and every dimension. You see, for the competent 60 to 69%. Demonstrate some knowledge. Here is limited knowledge. Here you see that considerable knowledge. Here is true and insightful knowledge. You go through the entire content, you can find much more differentiation. Due to the shortage of the time, I'll be giving only briefly. Okay. The critical and creative thinking skills. Let us see, use the critical and creative thinking skills with limited effectiveness. Next one, you see that moderate effectiveness, considerable effectiveness, high degree of effectiveness. Like this, you want to be described each and every dimension. Next, communication. Communicates information and data with limited clarity. So that means he is communicating, he is giving the idea, but no much clarity, limited clarity. And then you see that 60 to 69% is with some clarity, 70 to 79% is with considerable clarity. And excellent means high degree of clarity with confidence, with justification. Okay. Suppose if I'm going to climb, this is what my new idea. How can I climb? This is my new idea with the supporting information. Which is the supporting information? Yes, I have gone through 100 articles. In 100 articles, I could not find for this any solution. So that now I'm going to work on this issue. So like that, you need to climb. Quality of argument. Argument is simple and unoriginal, and the writing is weak and inconsistent. Here you see that writing is moderately clear and coherent. The next one is, you see that argument bridges on the complex and original, and the writing is clear and coherent. You see that. Okay, here is moderately. Here is clear. Here is, you see that creatively coherent. Okay, clear and creatively coherent. So that excellent. Like this, you want to define, you want to describe every dimension. Next, you see that several errors in a spelling and grammar, which is criteria spelling and grammar. Few errors in spelling and grammar. Some errors in spelling and grammar. No errors in spelling and grammar. Like this, you need to design a rubric, please. Analytic rubric. Next, holistic rubric for speaking. Holistic rubric for speaking, you see that. So you see that exceeds expectations, meets expectations, fails to meet expectations. These are my scaling. Okay. Let us see here. You see that what I have to give the description. All directions are in imperative form. 90% of the directions were correct. More than 60 directions are used. Grammatical errors are minor and don't impede comprehensibility. Include more than 4 or more physical references with the descriptions. So this is what exceeds expectations. Next, meets expectations. You see that the same components I'll be moderating. However, you see that most 80% of the directions are in the imperative form. Here you see that all directions. Here is 80%. In the next level, 60 or 70, whatever it is. The next is 90% of directions were correct. You see that in the 80 again, at least 75% of directions were correct. Includes at least 4, but fewer than 6 directions. You see that. You specify very clearly. Some grammatical errors are there. You see that includes 2 to 3 physical references with the descriptions. Here is, you see that more than 4. So like you need to describe, okay, fails to meet expectations. Uses fewer than 4 directions. So there is a limitation, minimum 4 directions, okay. More than half of the directions are incorrect in a form. Less than 75% of the directions were correct. Grammatical errors impaired. Used fewer than 2 physical references with the descriptions, you see that. Like this, you need to describe the holistic rubric. Okay, this is holistic, single dimension. This is single dimension. The previous one is 2 dimension. This is the 1 dimensional. Analytic rubric for peer assessment of team project members. Another example. Analytic rubric for peer assessment of team project members. Let us see what about, you see that these are the criteria. The criteria is project contributions, leadership, collaboration. You can add some more. I'm giving only few samples. And this is what you see that scaling. Analytic means 2 dimensional. Scaling. Below expectation, good, exceptional. Or you can go for any other combination also. You may be having your own combination, you can use it. This is not mandatory, okay? Optional. You can use your own combination of the rating. You see that like project contributions, again you see that every dimension must be described. You see that made few substantive contributions to the team's final project. Let us look into good, why I'm giving good, fair, share of substance to the team's final product. You see that here is like you need to define or describe the each dimension, please. You see that like this. So this is what analytic rubric for peer assessment of team project members. Okay. So I'll be going to complete the session within 15 minutes. Okay. Coordinator, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm going to complete the session within 15 minutes. Okay?
Sure, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Other our management also will join within 10 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So analytic rubric for oral presentation. This is another kind of format, you see that. So this is what you see that below expectation, satisfactory, exemplary, and score also you can. Okay. The organization, you see that. What that organization means? Grade, oral presentation. Not operant organization. Evidence is not used to support assertions, you see that. So that below expectation. Satisfactory, presentation as a focus and provides some evidence that supports conclusions. You see that this is what is convincing the evidences to support conclusions. So that exemplary. So you can fix like this range also 0 to 2 for below expectation, satisfactory is 3 to 5, exemplary is 6 to 8, and score is. Why do I follow this structure? Means so maybe in some of the institutions they may give the marks in terms of the numeric. In that case, you can go for this kind of pattern. Okay. If there will not be any marks system in the evaluation of the seminar or project, in that case, I think this is not required. If there is a marks evaluation system, then we need to go for the numeric also. The content is see that similarly, you need to describe each dimension. You see that like, but you can. But who is responsible for the designing of rubric means the committee only. 2 or more people have to sit and finalize the format. So that is what responsibility of the committee. Style of presentation. One is organization, content, style of organization, style of presentation. You see, this is what analytic rubric example for the oral presentation. Okay, you can score here is suppose here is 2, here is 7, here is 7. Then final score is what? 14 plus 2, 16. You got the score. But what is the maximum score of this? You see that each one. You see each one have a different variations. You see that here may be 0 to 2, 5 to 7, 10 to 3, 13. This may be 0 to 2, 3 to 6, 7 to 9. Again, you see that in every criteria there is a certain differentiation criteria to criteria also. So that is your wish. You can decide your own structure. You can follow your own format that is based on the committee and academic regulations. Analytic rubric for task X. Suppose X task is there, then how to use the analytic rubric? Let us say criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3, criteria 4, criteria 5. Or you can use the nomenclature dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3, dimension 4 or 5, or maybe feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, feature 4, feature, or subtask 1, subtask 2, various nomenclatures are there, please. I found in a literature plenty. Okay. Now we say this is what is scaling. The scaling is what you know that performance low, performance basic, performance standard, performance commendable. My sincere request to all of you, please try to remove this is what, which is the performance low. Start with 1 only, please. You must encourage every student, whether they do well or not. You start with 1 point, please. So that is what we want to give the encouragement and motivation to the student. So my sincere request to all of you, remove the 0 points or negative categorical nomenclature. Such a, please scaling, you remove it. So that means we must encourage and motivate the student. Okay, criteria 1. Criteria 1 means you see that, let us see here is criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 4. You see that all these poor, good, better, and best is there. But you see that once if I evaluate the task X, I given the ranking for the criteria 4 with respect to the performance basic. You see that this is what good. You got the good marks. Okay, with respect to this. Okay, in the criteria 1, you see that criteria 1 is a better, and the criteria 5 also, let us assume this some overlapping is there. 5 is better. Next criteria, you see that, and coming to the performance commendable, criteria 3 is the best and criteria 5 is best. So I think now you know that what is the numerical information relevant to this means 1 point. So if I do the summation of this column, what is the score? 1. if I do the summation of this, how many better tick marks are here? This one and this one. So what is the score for each one? 3. 3 plus 3, total 6. And again you see that 5. So this is what you see that for the criteria 3, I have been, okay, put the tick mark for the what? Best. And criteria 5 also. Then what are the total points? 5. So 5 plus 5, 10. So that means here is 1 and here is 6, here is a 10 and here is 0. So in this case 0. So then you see that total per column, this is 0 and this is 1 and this is 6 and this is 10. Let us look into this please. 6 to 10. So then you do the summation of this. What is the summation of this? 10 plus 6 plus 1. Why do I want to follow this kind of rubric means? When we want to give the marks in terms of the numerical, in that case, this is an excellent model. This is excellent model. So that is what purpose I'm explaining this kind of format. So now 16. Now I want to convert into the percentage. Now he scored how many marks? Total is 17 marks. When he scored the 17, then I want to calculate the percentage. How do I calculate the percentage? So in that case, you need to think please how to calculate the percentage. Then each criteria, how many maximum points? You see that 5. So that how many criteria are here? 5 criteria. The maximum points of the respective criteria is 5. So 5 multiply 5. So that means 25. So then how many marks is scored? 17. So 17 by 25. That is what you see that total earned 17 points by 25 possible when equal to 68% overall mastery. So like this, you need to calculate. Okay. So this is what this. Next, descriptive and narrative writing paragraph rubric. Okay. You see that if you want to test paragraph ability, you see that in that case, writing paragraph. In that case, you can follow this is the structure. What is the structure? Whether it is holistic or analytic, please. You think and just think and evaluate by yourself whether it is holistic or analytic. But this is a analytic rubric only. Why means it is a two-dimensional. It is a two-dimensional. So that introduction, supporting details, a topic, conclusion, word choice, grammar and spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. You can add some more in addition to this. Just only sample I am giving here. And again, you see that scaling 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is what evaluating for how many marks total? 4 multiply. You count it how many criteria are here? 3, 7. So 7 multiply 4 means so 24. Whether you want to go for the 25 or 50 or 75 or 100, with respect to that, you need to design the structure of rubric. Okay. Maybe as per the academic regulations, sometimes I may be evaluating seminar for only 25 marks. With respect to that limitation, you want to design the rubric. Okay. With respect to the limitations of our academic regulations. Okay. Not simply to design and follow it. Okay. Suppose assignment, for example, assignment or homework, you see that. So, now students are not getting assignments on time. The reason is what? We do not have any certain evaluation process. Okay. If we follow this kind of evaluation process, I think all the students might be submit on time the projects. First, you see that neatness. So, rating, you see that this is a two-dimensional analytic rubric. This is also analytic rubric, not holistic rubric. Neatness. For the neatness, you see that grading is 1, 2, 3, 4, or rating, you see that 1, 2, 3, 4. Homework is an orderly packet and is incredible neat with no smudges or tears, you see that. Okay. Like you see that go through this description, you can find the differentiation between the one to another also. Neatness, first criteria. The second criteria is completion. All of the assigned work is complete. So I have given maybe 17 tasks, suppose. If the student completed all the 17 tasks, then I may be giving 4. In the 17, maybe he completed only maybe 16 or 15. Okay. maybe he completed 10 or 6. He may not be, you see the student did not turn in assignment, even though I'm encouraging. So by going through this evaluation sheet, he can think, oh, even I did not submit, even though my teacher has given 1 mark. So next time this could not happen. Next time I should submit. He himself feel. So that is what we have to be create in his student mind. Okay. So that please we must encourage the student. One is wrong. One is not a wrong place. One means what they can do with one. Timeliness. Okay. Homework was received on due date. On the due date. So then 4. Homework was 1 day late. 3. Homework was 2 days late. You see that 2 days. 2. Homework was 3 or more days late. 1 only. So that this is the criteria is there. When you put this criteria, then every student think, okay, I want to submit assignment on time. Otherwise, I lose 3 marks. Okay, so that they can at least they can score here 4 marks. Accuracy. All of the answers are correct. Next, most of the answers are correct. Some of the answers are correct. Little to none of the answers are correct. You see that? Then this is what? Work shown. All work is meticulously shown. Most work is meticulously shown. You see that? Some steps for problem solving are missing. Some steps for problem solving are missing. Student did not show any work. Okay? Like this, you need to evaluate assignment. But what I need to do, I want to share this format to each and every student before going to evaluating of student assignment or homework. So this kind of pattern we must follow, please. When we follow this, I think every student get an opportunity in a repeated company and you can enjoy. Direct assessment of student learning outcomes. You see that when I want to do the assessment of student learning outcomes, I think you are very familiar about stakeholders. There are 2 different kinds of stakeholders are there, internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Okay, you see that students, COPO reports, course evaluations, club feedback, exit survey, I want to collect from the students, and alumni also I want to collect, alumni survey, alumni speakers also. The next one is see that employers, program advisory committee or program assessment committee or department advisory committee. So cooperative evaluations, you see that, career fair also. The faculty, staff, administration or employees. So I need to collect the information from the different sources. From the different sources means, you see these are people are having connection with our institution. So that we must collect the information. That information I have to be used for the refinement of the learning outcomes or vision, etc. How you see that once if I collect the data I want to be submit to the committee, then the committee has to be discussed and finally consolidated. Consolidation information has to be discussed by the committee. The committee has to be take a decision and finally they will be going to release the resolution copy. That is what you see that with the resolution information, then we need to think whether shall we go for the revised refinement of the objectives or not. So that is based on the committee decision only. So this is the process we want to follow when we want to go for the revision or maybe refinement of existing anything. Anything means vision, mission, PO, POs, PSOs, COs or curriculum design also. Okay. Why use rubrics? Why use rubrics? You see that. Rubrics provide timely feedback. You see that? Timely feedback. Grading can be done more quickly. You see that at the end of the project evaluation, when we are working as a teamwork, in that case, what we used to do? We used to decide with the common sense only. And also we used to think, oh, shall I give or not? Shall I give or not? These are the doubts we may be having. Why? Lack of proper mechanism. When we have the rubric, why should I think? Rubric is there, it will be automatically generate the result. So that is what quickly, okay? Grading can be done more quickly without any ambiguity. Okay? It's a more constructive mechanism. If the rubric is not there, that is not the constructive mechanism. Rubrics prepare students to use detailed feedback. You see that how it is giving the detailed feedback means, you see that if I give this sheet to every student after evaluation, then they can think, oh, why I am getting here is 1 mark. So that means I have to be complete all. Why I am getting here is 1 mark. So I have to be submit on time. Like that, it is one kind of a reminder to the student. It is one kind of reminder to the student. So that detailed feedback, we want to give it back to the student. Next, rubrics encourage critical thinking. You see that we are all focusing on the critical thinking and creative thinking. How can I encourage the critical thinking? If I do not circulate any rubric procedure, how they do think? So that what we need to do, we want to circulate, which is the rubric. Further, rubrics facilitate communication with others also. You see that easy to understand the rubric system. If the rubric system is not there, what you are going to expect from me in the presentation? How do I know that? If I should able to predict that, why should I be in this college? I can be like a Baba, or maybe I can be like a God. So that what we need to do, we want to be provide that. Rubrics help faculty refine their teaching skills. You see that when you go through that rubric procedure, even ourselves sometimes refine, okay, and we can improve day by day. The next, rubrics help level the playing field. You see that in non-native speakers of English who are not having good communication skills in respective language, in that case, the rubric is going to play the key role for the rural area students. Rubrics can act as a translation device. You see, when I see the information in the table format, I can easily to understand. If I see the same information in a paragraph mode, it could be a little difficult task to understand the entire paragraph. So that is what one of the best tool for the encouragement of the rural area students. So that we need to circulate to the students. Rubrics can act as a translation device to help students understand what teachers are talking about. So these could be more helpful. What is going to expecting from me? With respect to that, I need to present. With respect to that, I need to do the project. So that is what very easy. Okay. So thank you very much to all of you. Okay. Any queries, please, regarding assessment tools and committees? Any queries, please?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Is my voice audible, sir? Hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, I have given for the research proposal, sir. Can you make it for the BTech projects also, sir? This rubrics methodology.
Yes. What?
If you have the templates, can you show it, sir, for the BTech analysis?
1 second.
Or you can do the same thing.
1 second.
Okay, sir.
Please wait.
Okay, sir.
Research paper, no? You are asking? This is? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can use it even for the project work also. This is what. So just
same thing,
little
you can make it.
required.
Okay, sir.
Whether suppose if you are evaluating the BTech project, I think you can't find much creative skill set. Okay. Maybe
Okay.
maximum is you are focusing on, you may be focused on the critical. So you give the least priority to the creative. Suppose if it is a PhD, you must give the highest priority to the creative, then the critical. Okay. Like you can change a little. Okay. Same structure you can follow with little changes, with little modifications with respect to your task.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
So
BTech and MTech, basing on that, you can change the task level, grading level also. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
sir.
also we want to maintain the differentiation among the BTech, MTech and PhD, even for the research paper also. The task may be same for all the programs. Suppose you want to evaluate the research paper for BTech student, want to evaluate the research paper for MTech student, want to evaluate the PhD student. In that case, what I need to do? Do I need to use the same structure? No. I have to follow
Change it.
different structures,
Yes, sir.
but with similar components. Okay.
Parameters.
Dimension
Okay,
of the description, you need to change it.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any more queries, please? Any more queries, please? Please, if you have any extra information relevant to my content, you can share to this mail ID, please. I'll be very happy. That would be more helpful for enhancement of my content as well as teaching ability. So please, if anyone have the more than my information, that please share to this. Okay. So thank you very much for listening, patience, and actively involving. Thank you very much to all the participants.
I request all the participants to not leave the session now itself. The valedictory session will be starting now within a couple of minutes. Already we have shared the today's link, attendance link. Please submit by 1 p.m. and the feedback link of this resource person, please submit before 1 p.m. So this is the today's deadline for the, and regarding the examination assessment test, all the participants please listen. All the participants are requested to attend the assessment test, which is scheduled at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. We are going to posting the assessment list, assessment test link in the WhatsApp links, which is opening at 2 p.m. I request all the participants to please enter your details correctly, as like your name, your college name, your designation. We are no more responsible for that, because whatever the link we are giving to you for the assessment test, that link itself includes for the questions, 26 questions. Out of those 26 questions, 13 answers must be correct. Then only the certificate will be generating. That is, by default it is generating. We are not at all doing anything. By default it is generating, and it is going to the certificate is generating depending upon your details, whatever the details you have entered. So I request all the participants, please use this opportunity and please enter the details. Please spare 1 or 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes for the entering the details. First, initially you have to enter the details. Then after, when you click the next button, then you will get the test link. Your all details will be reflecting in your certificate. So I request all the participants to please go thoroughly regarding that. Then afterwards you go for the link. Before making clearing of all these things, please don't go to the next link. If you will go to the next link, you can't. So this is one of the thing which we have developed in the link. So I request all to please fill the details correctly. Now the validity session will be starting now. Our honorable director sir will be joining along with this validity session, and also our conveners will also join along with us. Please, 1 minute, please. Don't leave the session.
Good afternoon to all. This is V. Sandhisri, Associate Professor, Department of ECE. Welcome you all to this valedictory session. Now I request our coordinator, sir, Nawab Muhammad Jubair Shah, sir, to address the participants on this occasion. Sir? Jubair, sir.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected resource person and the chief guest of this valedictory function, Dr. S. Vishwanath Raju Garu, Vice Principal, JNTU Jagityala, and our Honorable Director, Dr. M. Uma Shankar Reddy Garu, Dr. K.V. Ramprasad Garu, Head of the Department, ECE, Convener of this FDP, Dr. K. Venkata Subbareddy Garu, Head of the Department, CSE, Convener of this workshop, of this FDP, and Dr. Raj Kamal Garu, Associate Professor, ECE Department, Coordinator of this 1 week online National Faculty Development Program on outcome-based education. I welcome you all for this valedictory function. So regarding this FDP, as I mentioned on the day one, almost 600 plus participants have been registered. Among them, we have identified that around 480 plus participants are actively involved in this faculty development program. Various participants from various states, almost all South India states have covered, along with the Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar. The participants have been registered and they have been involved in the whole activities of the day, 5 days long, from 21st to 25th. This whole FDP was not run with a single show. It has been run with the two eminent speakers, resource persons, Dr. V. Bhagyaraju Garu, Principal, Siddhartha Institute of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad, and Dr. S. Vishwanath Raju Garu, Vice Principal, JNTU Jagityala. So these two persons, who acted as like a resource persons, have given their blended knowledge through this faculty development program. Really, sir, you both have mesmerized us with the whole outcome-based education and made us the way how to conduct the outcome-based education in our academics, in terms of not only teaching learning process, along with the student evaluation and attainment systems also. Really, sir, you have made us whole enlightened all of us with the concepts of outcome-based education, right from criteria 1 to criteria 10. All the criteria you have come across, and you have shared your views as well as the outcome-based education evaluation assessment process in a clear and betterment process. Thanks a lot, sir. And then regarding this event, without participants, this event would not have been successful. So the participants have shown a very interest on the day 1 and day 2, as well as from day 3, day 4, day 5. They have been joining through the Google Meet links as per our specified timings. They have shown very interest. They have shown very much enthusiasm regarding this learning process of the outcome-based education. The participants have better understood. I feel that the participants have better understood regarding this outcome-based education. So this is about the whole faculty development program regarding the conduct of this faculty development program on outcome-based education. Thanks a lot for my management as well as the principal, sir, Dr. B.S. Reddy Garu, and the Honorable Director, Dr. M. Uma Shankar Reddy Garu, as well as the conveners, both the heads of departments of CSE and ECE, who has given me the opportunity to conduct this program. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I am pleased to invite our director, Honorable Director, sir, Dr. M. Uma Shankar Reddy, sir, to speak on this auspicious occasion. Sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Chief Guest of the event, Dr. S. Viswanath Raj Garu, Vice Principal, JNTU Hyderabad, Jagichala, Telangana. Dr. K.V. Ram Prasad, Head of the Department of ECE Department, from ECE Department. Dr. K. Venkata Subba Reddy, Head of the Department of CSC and Convener. Mr. M.D. Jugair Basha, Coordinator of this FDP from CSC Department. Dr. Raj Kamal, Coordinator of this FDP from ECE Department. Dear faculty members and my dear participants, good afternoon and warm welcome you all into the online valedictory session of outcome-based education. It is a great privilege to honor to the Department of CSC and ECE for getting a wonderful opportunity to host this FDP program on outcome-based education. More than 600 participants have registered for this event from other states like Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Delhi. I believe that this type of FDPs are playing a vital role to the faculty for upgrading their skills. So I thank you to the resource persons, Dr. S. Viswanath Raj Garu, Vice Principal, Siddhartha Institute of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad, to conduct this faculty development program in a manner. We have got excellent speakers for this FDP, and many applause have been received from the participants for these two resource persons. Sir, we will utilize your services in future also. I am also thankful to all the participants for attending this program and making this program a grand success. I congratulate and appreciate the ECE and CSC department for organizing this FDP program on outcome-based education. Thank you, Belinda. Good day.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech. Sir, now I request Chief Guest Dr. S. Viswanath Raj, sir, Vice Principal, JNTU Jagichala, to address the participants on this occasion.
So good.
Sir, Viswanath, sir.
Yeah, madam, please. Good afternoon to all of you. First, I must thankful to the participants for listening patiently. Very thankful to all the participants. I hope we have given sufficient information regarding the outcome-based education. This is what I feel at present. If we have still some more doubts, we will be clarified in the future. Please, you can communicate through mail or WhatsApp or any other communication. Now, I would like to share one point. So that is very much important to all of us. In the short span of the Kallam Harinath Reddy Institute of Technology achieved several milestones. I think one is NAC, second one is an NBA, and also extension for one more year. That is what recent news, day before yesterday, they received the copy from the NBA. Autonomous and permanent affiliation to the JNTU-K, and that is not possible in general in the span of 10 years, but this institution administration have been worked hours together, and finally they achieved. These are the milestones which I have shared with you. Okay, and again I would like to say one more thing. In the future, I would like to see many more achievements like research projects, imprint project, like other sources are there. I think now as per the NGP 2020, the government has been taken decision, National Research Foundation, if they can coordinate with the National Research Foundation, they may attract maximum number of projects. And it's my pleasure to associate with your institution as a resource person for this workshop. I'm very thankful to the management, and my special thanks to the Surya Narayana Garu. He is a very close friend to me. When he called me, then immediately I said, okay, I'm ready to give a lecture on the OBE, please, outcome-based education. So usually we used to talk regarding certain issues, and he used to call me whenever he used to get certain doubts regarding the OBE or any other issues. He used to contact with me. So I must thankful to the Surya Narayana for inviting me for this workshop. This workshop is organized in a systematically, in a timely. Now, the dignitaries present here, Kallam Harnath Reddy Garu, Chairman, and Director of Institution, Uma Shankar Reddy Garu. Thank you very much, sir, for your encouragement, for your support to the faculty, as well as like me people also. Thank you very much, sir, Director, sir. And Principal of this college, BSP Reddy, sir, and Surya Narayana, Dean of Academics, I have shared already to you, is close to me. And Ram Prasad, Head of the Department, ECE, Subba Reddy, sir, Head of CSE Department. Just for this inauguration, okay, other people who are here, okay, who are not in this. And I must be thankful to the first resource person, is the Bhagyaraj. He is also right person. So the coordination also, I hope it was good. That is what you need to assess and evaluate. Finally, give the information to us. So that could be more helpful to us for the future activity, whether we have a coordination synchronization or not, in terms of the coverage of all the topics. Now, finally, I would like to say the congratulations to the coordinator of this program, and one person constantly monitoring this, who is the person, his name is Basha. So he is the right person for conducting of this kind of activities, I think. And Santisri Madam and other coordinators. So I must be thankful to all the organizing committee members of this event. Thank you very much. And I want to conclude with one statement. So I think now we are having little knowledge about OBE. From the next academic year, we are moving to the new education policy 2020. So that we will not worry about the NGP 2020. The NGP 2020 is also, it's a more or less similar to the OBE system. So that when we had experience with OBE system, we can easily to adapt it. We can easily to implement it. Okay. When we conduct this kind of activities, then we can easily to move to the next generation education. So I hope your management will be conducting like this several events. So with the help of this kind of events, easy to move, easy to switch over from one generation education to the next generation education. And I would like to specify one point to all the non-computing branches. So this is, please, sir, Director, sir, please note it down. This is very much important point which I am going to tell. Not right. The future is the future industry is completely, I think, maybe completely depending on AI and machine learning. So that my sincere request to all the department heads who belong to the computer science, they have to be introduced certain courses in their third year and fourth year. Means artificial intelligence, Python programming, machine learning, data science, or any other courses if relevant to the industry requirement. So that such a courses if we can introduce, because of your institution is autonomous, you have a flexibility, so that you can add some more courses in the third year and fourth year, then you need not worry from the next academic year admission also. Once the student get an opportunity in IT industry with EEE or electronics or mechanical, then next year you need not search for the student. So that means you are going to give the more information to the every domain student, then they can get opportunity. Once they get opportunity, they can utilize very easily. So that kind of environment we want to create in the institution. So my sincere request to director sir and principal sir, so you must be include, not should please, you must, it could be good to future institution and also student and industry also. So thank you very much, sir. Take it as a positive, which I have told you. Thank you very much, sir.
So thank you very much, sir, for your suggestions. Definitely, we use your services in future also. Next month we plan for this. What you have told just now, that new education policy, will conduct another FDP next month, and we'll also conduct these FDPs on this machine learning, etc., Python program, whatever you told just now. We will conduct, sir. Definitely, it will be useful to our students also. We always support our faculty members to conduct and encourage our faculty members to conduct this type of programs, sir. Definitely, sir. We will take your advices from here afterwards, sir. Thank you, sir, once again.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I'm always be ready, available, no problem, sir, for the service oriented. I'm very happy. And also, we had association with Stanley Engineering College. I used to visit the Stanley Engineering College. Okay, there is one person, his name is Lanka Satyaprasad. We had a close association, sir. We have been interacting several times for the several kinds of issues. So even when they went for the MBA,
So, sir, is a friend of mine, sir.
I used to visit it. Yeah, that is what, sir.
Vishwanath Raj garu.
Sir.
We have in our college ISTE chapter, IETE chapter, and CSI chapters. Under ISTE chapter, we have planned this NEP, FDP in the month of July under ISTE chapter.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Definitely, sir.
Definitely, we utilize our services.
Yes, sir. And also in the next month, we are conducting one panel session in Manipal University, Jaipur, regarding the NEP 2020. So that information I will pass on to your faculty.
Okay, definitely. Please send the brochure to us. Definitely, we will participate.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sunan garu. Okay, and the director garu. Okay. It's because of closeness I'm telling, don't worry. So thank you, sir. Madam.
Thank you, sir, for your presence and also giving informative session on outcome-based education, sir, to all the participants. Thank you, sir, once again. Next, now I would like to invite our convener, Dr. K.V. Ramprasad, sir, to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. This is Dr. K.V. Ramprasad, head of ECE department and one of the convener of this Friday FDP on outcome-based education. So I take an immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on this great occasion. First of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Chairman, Sri Kallam Karnad Reddy Garu, for his marvelous support in organizing this event. Next, I would like to thank our respected Director Sir, Dr. Ramama Shankar Reddy Garu, for his continuous support and encouragement for organizing all such events. I would also like to thank our beloved Principal Sir, Dr. B.S.P. Reddy Garu, for his valuable suggestions in choosing the topic, giving the required guidelines to conduct the events in a smooth manner. I would like to thank both the resource persons, Dr. V. Bhagiraj Garu, Principal Sir, Siddhartha Engineering College, Hyderabad, delivered sessions for first 2 days, and Dr. S. Vishwanath Raj Garu, Vice Principal of JNTUH College of Engineering, Jagityal, so covered the sessions in next 3 days and make this event a memorable one for both organizers and participants with their sound knowledge in the outcome-based education area and with their teaching skills. We got the feedback, sir, and it is wonderful, and the resource persons are really, really good and extraordinary. That is how we have got the feedback about the resource persons. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and hope this will continue in future also, and we'll have some more wonderful sessions from you people. Now, I take this opportunity to thank all the members in organizing committee and others who directly or indirectly supported to make this event a grand success. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants who attended regularly and listened all the sessions with a lot of patience and brought glory to this event with their presence in this FTP. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving me such a great opportunity. I thank you all. Thank you, sir. With this, I conclude this FTP.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your vote of thanks. Now, my last word is for all the participants. So, those who have submitted the feedback links, those who have submitted the attendance, and at 2 o'clock, sharply at 2 o'clock, the link will be posted in all WhatsApp groups. Please fill the details of your personal details in the first page of the link. The second page onwards, you will get the test where 26 questions will be there, out of which minimum 13 questions, 13 answers should be correct, then only you are going to get the certificate. So I request all the participants before 3 p.m. Before 3 p.m. you have to submit the test. After 3 p.m. it will not be enabled and it will not be opened. So I request all the participants, please submit before 3 p.m. which will the link opens at 2 p.m. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for attending this event, and we will be in touch with you. If you are having any queries, anything else, please message us. We will get back to you. And I request all the participants to please submit the feedback as well as the attendance. We are seeing the attendance, everything we are monitoring, and we are monitoring your feedback links also. Depending upon those who submitted feedbacks as well as the attendance as well as the assessment test only, we are going to get in the certificate. Thanks a lot for joining with us. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, madam. Now you can leave the sessions. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Participants, any would like to talk or any would like to give the feedback, please join now. If any participants would like to talk regarding this FDP or give the feedback regarding this FDP, you can join, sir. Madam, any madam can join. Or else we can close the session.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Basha, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, exactly at what time the exam is going to conduct, sir?
2 p.m. to 3 p.m., sir. We are sharing the link in the WhatsApp groups. I believe that all of you are in the WhatsApp groups.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, we are sharing the link, the exam test link in the
WhatsApp
group.
We have our regular classwork, sir. That's why, so that exactly as per the schedule, whether you are going to conduct or not. That's
no, that is scheduled, sir. We are helpless in this regard. 2 to 3, it is it was already prepared long back, sir.
Yes, sir.
We are unable to.
That's what actually, as per your schedule only you are going to conduct, no, sir. There is no more deviations, right?
No, no, sir. No, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's what.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Can we leave the session, sir? Okay, sir. Any suggestions still? Any questions? Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.